Hello guys, this is Paula. Hope you guys are having a great day. Today we're going to attempt to put I've already got this ready, so I'm not moving it, but we're going to put the binding together. And so what I did is I used some Wonder Under, which is basically just like a adhesive interfacing. And then I put some muslin to line it. And then I adhered it all together. But before that, I zigzagged the edges so they wouldn't be all grody. I wanted them to be a little bit neater than usual. And I've already covered the inside of the book covers. And this is an 8.5 by 5.5 inch book. And I've just covered these with, this was printed on cardstock. I printed it for the inside of the books. And then it's just going to be right along here. But the first thing we're going to do is put the spine in. I did a double layer of cardboard or chipboard or hardboard, whatever you want to call it. And I glued them together, and they've had a couple days to dry. Now, we're going to put that down first, and then we're going to center the book up next to it. Now, I don't usually do this on video because it's just probably not the most interesting thing for some of you, but I have people who want me to do this so that they can learn. So basically this is a 2-inch spine with 3 signatures in the book. Each signature has about 20 or 21 pages. But you double that for the number of pages to actually journal on or whatever. Now, I am going to put this on here, but I will tell you that if you don't line your fabric, it's not that big a deal. A lot of people do not. You will get seepage from the glue that seeps through to the fabric. It's almost impossible to get it to not do that. But I've been successful a few times by lining it. But, you know, any kind of glue is going to soak through the fabric. So I'm just trying to get as much on here as I can so that I can smooth it out. You do want to smooth it out. I'm just going to take this little Tim Holtz tool that comes with your mixed media mats that he sells. And I'm just going to, a lot of people just use their finger. But I'm doing a video and I don't want to have to spend 30 minutes cleaning up my fingers. So I am going to add some more because I didn't really get as much. I don't like to leave any of the corners without glue, but I don't want big clumps in one spot either. So I think I'm going to let that be good. I've got to wipe off after I lay this down, I got to wipe off my little tool. Okay, now I'm going to set that right there and try not to forget it. Okay, here we go. Now, I've drew a pencil. Once I got it where I wanted it and I measured and made sure everything was in the center of my fabric. This was the same as the bottom, top and bottom the same. Then I drew a pencil around both sides. You don't have to do it around the whole chipboard, okay? Just around the back, bottom and top. Now, I got to wipe off this before I forget, or I won't have my tool the next time. Because this does, you know, you do have a few minutes to get it off. And sometimes you have to work at it. But I'm just mostly wanting to get the main part off. Didn't get any on the back, just on this one side right here in the front. This is the window and doors mixed media. Why would I say that? Why did I even think of mixed media? This is the Window and Doors digital file, and it's by Elsie Bell's Bookshelf. Elsie Bell's Bookshelf on Etsy. I will put a link below, and so you guys can go find it if you would like. Okay, so that's done. Got that thing out of here. Okay, so now we've got this down. I want to use my brayer on it a little bit. It's not necessarily, if you don't have a brayer, use a can, you know, from your kitchen or whatever. I don't use this brayer straight down on glue. Do not do that. You will have to throw it in the trash. Many years ago I did that because I was not experienced at using a brayer. And yeah, so you don't want to do that. Now I'm going to flip it over, and it looks like we're doing pretty good as far as glue seepage. No problem. Okay, now you want to, like I said, you want to center these books on here. And then what I do is also, when I center the books on, I also draw like a line. Once I get them both at a level point, or what I consider a level point, you want to leave just a little less than 1/4 of an inch. Really more like a, I don't know, an 1/8 or a little bit more. Just, you know, you can judge it. You know what it takes to hold the book on, and you've got to have space between the spine and the book on both sides in order to be able to fold it and have some area of motion. Okay. And then this goes like this. I'm really trying for us to do a lot of this on camera. I don't usually do some of this really time-consuming thing because I'm afraid we won't get it done, you know. So I'm going to get my pencil again. I just don't use a pen, use a pencil. Let me get my ruler. I'm going to stand up. Let me get my ruler and make sure I have this straight. Okay. That portion looks real good. And I can move my mat up or down. I'm going to move it down and see if this side looks pretty good. Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to move this ruler, take my pencil, do one side at a time, hold your book down firmly, draw where you want to put the book, because we want to make sure, you know, it's center on both sides. Okay, do it on the bottom. Now we're going to do one side at a time, okay? So I'm going to move this one on the left out of the way so it doesn't get glue on it. But you can see how I drew on here, okay? And see, this is already attached really well, and we don't do anything with it for a little bit. Now you want your book, now that you've done it, you want to make sure your book's in the upright position. If there's anything on the front, well, on this one there's a couple letters, but those are going to disappear too. So make sure your book, you've got the book cover to your left and the book cover back to your right. Okay. All right. So it looks like I've got a little more on the back than on the front here. See that there's a little bit of difference? I'm not going to worry about that because it's going to come out fine. It's going to look fine. And that happens. You know, I try to get it on there as best I can. So I'm going to turn it for a minute while I put the glue onto the fabric. I'm putting it onto the fabric so I know exactly how far up I want to do it. Now you have to remember that everybody does this a little different, and I'm getting glue on the table, but that's okay. I've got a mat under me here. Now, what was I going to tell you just then? It'll come back to me. But you got to remember, too, anything you put close to the edge can seep over onto the book. And in this situation, we are not going to... I'm going to go ahead and fill up this little area right here. We are not going to put lace on the front or ribbon on the front. I'm trying to concentrate on what I'm doing, and then I don't normally have that problem, but some days you just do. Trying to make sure I don't get anything there, because I am going to not put... I zigzagged, which is something I've never done. I usually will put a lace or something on there, but not this time. Okay, now we're going to get this, turn this back around, because this is the top, this is the bottom. Now we're going to make sure our book's upright, and we're going to lay it on here, and hopefully things will go well. Now you don't want, just want to make sure it's hard to see. I'll just be honest, when you first put the glue on and then you get onto the book, it's hard to see where the lines are. But it is possible. And I'm just holding it right now. And you can use your brayer at this point, as long as, excuse me, I'm just hiccuped. As long as there's no glue on the top of anything. And we don't have anything on the cover. And then you just push really good. Now, I'm going to flip this over very gently and hope and pray that none of it seeped out. There you go. None of it seeped out. Now, I mean, there's little spots that's trying. Because this book is not going to be covered, this portion of the book is not going to be covered. We want to make sure that we don't do overkill on our glue putting our fabric on. I would rather not have any there toward the edge and have a little bit of a lift than to have glue seeping out. Like there's a tiny bit right here. So I'm trying to get it under control. Now you definitely, when you do this with your Fabri-Tac, you definitely want to make sure you have a mat under you, because there's going to come a point that this is going to want to stick to the table sometimes. Now we're going to flip it back over. I'm going to do the other side the very same way. While that dries, I really need this lid to be open bigger, but... Now, I can already tell that's too much glue. So I'm going to smooth it out. Put it down here. Smooth it back rather than to the edge. Okay. I'd rather push it all these other directions than to get it close to the edge. I'm going to kind of smooth this out a little bit. Make sure there's no real thick, clumpy ones. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Right in here, I was kind of wondering about that. Let's see. You can take your finger, push toward the inside of the book, which is the spine. Make sure you don't have anything too big on the edges. It doesn't take as much as we think. Okay, so I'm going to turn it this way. Where did I do with my book cover? There it is. Okay, this is upright because there's the top of the doors. Now, Just put it down right there. I hope it's cooperating. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. So I get up early, and I decide I'm going to get up early because my housekeeper usually comes at 9. 9 o'clock rolled around. No. I had the worst luck lately with housekeepers. And anyway, I was frustrated about that. But I called them at 9:15. I was hot. You know, they couldn't come the last time, so I've had to go 3 weeks. I mean, I've been doing this and that. You know, my husband's been helping me, but it's just aggravating, you know, because we were gone a week of that 3 weeks, so we knew it wouldn't bother us if we weren't here. Okay. Now, I'm going to push it a little bit again and try to make sure it's going down. It's straight. Awesome. So now I'm going to gently flip it over. Okay. Voila. No glue. No glue. So I can be happy now. Yay. Anyway, okay, so there we have that. That is on correct. That is one of the parts that usually gives you too much glue. Now you're going to do this the same way. You're going to get a stylus out. Let me get my stylus. Because you're going to want to keep that fabric down in this portion of, in the little valleys here. Okay, so rather than put it on the fabric this time, I'm going to put it on the glue on the spine. And I am going to try to do it as fast as I can. The problem is my glue only wants to let it out so fast, you know? Because you don't want it to have a chance to get a whole lot of dry time before you put it down, right? And I'm doing this inside the same way. I'm going to feel every little spot. I don't like it to not have. Some people only put it in around the outside and down the middle. I just think that that's fine if that's what they want to do. And I don't want to send one off to anybody and even take a chance that it won't fit or it won't stay together. So, I'm not saying something can't come apart no matter what you use. But I don't use anything but Fabri-Tac on putting the spine on because I feel like that's, you know, necessary. Okay, so I'm putting a little bit here, but now when you do this part right here on the bottom or the top, you want to make sure, the same way you did on the cover, that there's not a bunch to seep down into our pictures here. But the first thing we're going to do is put this on here, and I just feel like we need some more down in here. I hate to do overkill, but I want it to stick also. I thought I was done. I just remembered I need to do just a little bit on the edge of the book here. Don't go out into the book area. Just stay along the edge inside the fabric area. Gotta get that on there because we don't want it to seep out on this picture that we've put on the inside either, right? So let's do this side. You do definitely want to glue that will give you time like this one is doing. If you do have a glue that, like let's say glitter glue, for example, it's going to dry quick. You're not going to have any time to move anything if you should need to. Okay. So looking here to make sure we've got everything like I want it before I put the fabric on it. Okay. I always manage to find areas I don't like. So I'm kind of pushing back on those. Wiping my fingers off. And here we go. So I'm going to do it like this. This is going to go right here. Now, I'm doing this a little different than I usually do. And either way is correct. But usually I fold those ends into the book first. But I decided when I was sewing that I wanted this stitch to be, you know, on the top portion. So there's no glue seeping out so far. Now, when you start working on your valleys in between your book, you got to make sure. I don't think I want to use that. I think I just want to use my fingers or my credit card. You can use your credit card right here to make sure everything's sticking down the best you can. I just want it to have no reason to let go. Now, when you start using this stylus to start pushing these down, sometimes almost all the time actually, your fabric right here and here will pull in. And so if you see any glue on your picture here on both sides of the inside cover, you need to get it off as soon as you see it. And you do need to work pretty quick here. And I go back and forth. I work both sides. See how it's already pulling up and it's already, there's already a few places you want to keep pushing this down as it happens. And you want to make sure, where's my glue? There it is. I start saying, where's my glue adhesive remover? My adhesive remover. Okay, now this side is, I'm going to kind of straighten it up a little bit. This, to me, is one of the most important parts of the book, making the book itself, because you want everything to look nice and neat, unless you really want it to look junky. And there's nothing wrong with that. After all, we are junk journalers, right? I don't, you know, I think it's really just a word. Some people do things very junky. I don't have it in me to do it super junky. Now, I like to use all different kinds of papers and stuff like that, which, you know, does make it a junk journal. But, yeah. Some people do this on the front cover too. I'm not as much into that. I don't care as long as everything glues nicely together. Okay, so let's work on this side. It's not wanting to stick down as well. You really just want to go down in there, and that's why you got to make sure you have glue down in here and you don't let it dry any sooner than necessary. Just keep pushing down in there, because when you turn your head, some of it will slip back up. Yeah. Looks like this portion looks good. So now some people do flip it over and do it on the other side. I don't usually. So not that often, unless I'm looking for a certain look. Now, like I said, there's always going to be a little bit of seepage through your fabric onto your spine. That will dry and won't even be noticeable. I've only done a couple books where I didn't have something kind of seeping through the fabric. It's just the nature of the beast. The beast being the glue. So we're going to work down here on this bottom portion. Now, that's why you want those valleys done because we're going to start sticking this into the valleys, the end of the book here. So now I'm going to go in here. This is may or may not match perfect along these edges. You never know. It's all in how the valleys and all that stuff goes. Remember not to overload on the edges. Get up against the spine. Get that glue in there. Up against the spine on the very edge of the book. Now, oops, just went right off that edge, didn't I? So you definitely want to get that up and kind of wipe off the edge of your book. I'm kind of going to do it with my fingernail. Okay. So, pull off that little wild string right there. Okay, so we're about to put it up onto the book. I am going to put a little bit up here on this part. Don't cringe, because this is what's going to hold, putting it in the valleys right there. Don't go too high up, because you will not have no turning back. Because, you know, once you got the glue on that fabric, it's going to pretty much not leave that fabric. Okay, here we go. Now, I take my book gently because we still have things gluing down. I take it like this and pull it up and just hold it for a second so that it has time to adhere to these edges right here, the edge of the book. And then I just push it and go this way. Now, you do want to make sure when you do that, that no glue is on the table, okay? Now, when I raise this up, I'm always like, I always check my table and make sure I don't feel any glue that might have fell off. Now, we've got this up just like we need it, but I will tell you, you do have to keep it up there. And it will kind of move backwards, because there's a lot of thickness right through here. Okay. It doesn't bug me if this is longer than this. Doesn't bug me. Nobody cares. That's just, you know, they start out the same size. And most of the time they will stay the same size. I put my fingernails down in here as I'm working this. Now, I will tell you, you're going to get some glue that oozes out when you push that over. Let me zoom you in a little bit. Maybe. Let me make sure. Let me zoom you in a little bit. Okay. Right there. Okay, we're working on the lower portion right here where the zigzag is. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this, because you just want to go back and forth, get it down in there and hope that you put enough glue in there. Go down to this edge, keep pushing with your fingers, making sure this doesn't get any air pockets. You do have to watch for air pockets when you're putting your spine on, if you care about that sort of thing. Again, a lot of people don't care about that sort of thing, honestly. Remember, you could still have glue leak out the sides. You don't want it to because of your cover inside. Everything like that's on a picture, around a picture, it's going to show, you know. Like this one just is acting like a crazy person. Crazy person. The book is a person. So I just lifted out of there. And we'll see what happens right here. Okay. So you do have to work at this. There's not an easy, this part takes longer than all the other part did. Now see, when it oozes out like that, I get something Like I've got this little curved blade, but you can get anything that can reach in there, that can be wiped off. You can get anything out of there. Use any tool you need that you can clean up. I just use whatever's been in my stash forever. This is a ceramic. This is made for working on ceramic. It has a sharp blade on the end, and it has a looped blade on the other end. And I just use it. I don't do ceramics, but I have in the years past. It's not a whole lot I haven't done. I am someone that loves to do any kind of crafting. I have my favorites, but I like to try different stuff. And I think it's good for you to do that artistically. Okay, let's push this up, push this up. Hold this side down here as you're doing that because it's wanting to just float around, do its own thing. Okay. Hold this side down. This side down a little bit there. Okay. Now, we want to make sure where the zigzag is right here is gluing down also. We haven't really paid that much attention to it because we've been pushing to keep this fabric up there. Work on your edges. I want to make sure nothing's seeping out over here. And there is. There always is. What did I do with my blade? There it is. You really want to make sure to watch. If you want your cover to look nice, there's none on that side. It's only on the front where the book's cover is supposed to look the best. Where is my eraser? And I'm just going to get that off while I still can by using my little eraser. Well, there's not really much little about it. Now, you got to remember, like when you see some of these little spots, a lot of those will just dry and be fine. There's not much that you can do about it. Okay, and you want to be careful because these book covers, a lot of them are old. This one's not a super old book, okay? But I do use a lot of super old books. So you want to be careful trying to get this glue off, and you want to make sure you're not taking off any of the brown on the cover by being too aggressive. Okay, so that part is done right there. Now I'm going to flip. I am going to go ahead and use my stylus on this side because I forgot that I sometimes do this when it's pretty thick fabric. But if you get too aggressive at that, it's going to pull your fabric in, and then you're going to have glue on your book again. Okay, I just do it every now and then. I want especially this part here at the bottom to be able to fold without any problem. Okay, so now we're going to turn it upside down. Now, you still need to go back and forth and work this area right down here. Make sure everything's staying where it needs to be. Use your stylus every now and then to make sure, because it's thicker. It's double the fabric from this, and you just want to make sure everything is staying where it's supposed to. I'm looking for glue. Yep, I'm glad I did that. Right there we have some glue. See that right there? Right here. It's like when you're working on another part, it's just like, I think I'm going to sneak out and try to ruin her book. You just have to watch. Just have to keep an eye on it. Get the excess with your little scooper or your little ceramic tool if you have one. or just a little blade is fine. Okay. This is why I don't just put glue everywhere and start putting it down, because I'm too picky about the structure of the book. I don't have any big machines to make everything work right. I just have me. I'm the only machine that does this. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing on this other end. But see, really, this we're just at 30 minutes, I believe, or something like that. And that is good. I'll put a little bit of glue right here. Right here. I put extra glue right there because I want the end to really hold. Because this glue I put on the flap is going to still hold, okay? Glue's trying to come out like so slow. Sometimes I like to cut the hole bigger and just let it flow out. Do you do that? Because I get so tired of squeezing the life out of it. Whoops. That was a trick. Okay. Now, I'm going to put glue inside the valley right here. Okay, so now I'm going to ease up on the glue. Make sure there's not anything that is going to come off and make a big mess. All right, let's see what happens. Here we go. I'm going to slide it up towards you and hold it. And while I'm holding it on the second side, I kind of work on this, you know, on the edge. And make sure everything is gluing down, because it's going to feel thicker because it's got twice the fabric on this portion. And you just want to make sure everything is sticking. Now we're going to push this down like we did the other one. I bet none of you would ever have picked this fabric to be on your book. It is bright, but I love different stuff like this. I don't know, I just love it. Especially with the kit that it's, you know, going to go with, the digital kit. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to push up with our thumbs and get it to hold right there. We don't want this to push back, and it does, and it will. It just depends on your fabric, how much it will do that. Now, this one is not even wanting to go toward that side, so I'm going to try to pull it over a little bit. I don't want it to be like not covering one side. I don't know why. Looks okay. Okay, now I just felt like it could have gone to the left over here a little bit better. But, you know, it's all in how it gets glued down. If you're off by a little tiny bit, you might have where it's not completely sticking right there. Okay? So, when this all dries, I will go around. Of course, before it dries, I will make sure there's no seepage of glue. Okay? And then let it dry. And then I will go back, and if there's any little edges that need glue, I use my fine tip glitter glue and just put it under there and then let it dry again. So now we're going to work on this with the stylus. Make sure this is staying up on the side. Try to make sure when you're going back and forth, if you get glue on your stylus, to wipe it off. See, it just pulled some up right there. Okay, let me look at this. Still have a little bit seeping right there. You don't want that boogery looking stuff oozing out, because then it will dry there with like a big clump of glue. I'm not concerned about a little bit of glue. I mean, after all, we're not a machine, as I said earlier. We are human. Some things you can only do so much with. Such as that not going to the very edge. Now, see, it's bugging me. But it shouldn't, because if you look at even a brand new book, you'll find that things, of course, they don't have fabric like this, but you'll find flaws, okay? So don't beat yourself up about it. See, I thought that was through, and then I started pushing and prodding, and it wasn't. If you scrape on your fabric too much, it will change the texture and color of your fabric. Because most of this is going to be really covered up by a book. And this is the front, so that's why I'm not so worried about this little edge being slightly off. Okay, now let's see what we got going on over here. You always want to flip back and forth because, like I said, it's still gluing. You can still get a little seepage. Looks like we're doing pretty good. I'm trying to get little specks of glue off the book itself. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit in the gutter. In the gutter. In the valley. You can call it just about anything you want. All right. Let me look one more time since I did that. Yep. That's the thing. You touch one thing and it can affect. You got to be very careful getting that, because you'll scrape the book. This is the side of the book you really want to be picky about. And then you can just relax and have fun with it. Okay, looks like we're good to go right here. So now you can, this is how it's going to look right here, except it's going to have a cover. But you got, when you dry it flat. You dry it for at least an hour, hour and a half. Longer if you can. Sometimes I dry it, I start on the ephemera after this part and just cutting things out and deciding what I'm going to put in there as far as pockets and tucks and so forth. So while all that's happening, this is laying flat somewhere drying. Okay, don't do all the added glue that you think needs to be in one place or another right now. You go back and do that after it's all dried. That's what I recommend. Everybody is different on how they do that, but that's how I do mine. I folded it to show you that it was folding well, you know. But you also want to do the folding on the inside, because the inside is where most of the bulk is, okay, because of how it folds up. And sometimes when you do that, you can see big gaps or something's not gluing, okay? And I just take my finger and I press, and then I will come back and do that again once it's dried, and then I can add extra glue if I need to. If it's major bad, you can add glue then. But I don't worry about it unless it just looks awful. Okay, so there's our book. I'm not going to do the cover yet. I'm going to wait and do that last. And the reason I do that is because I don't want it to get messed up and dirty with us just moving the book all around. Okay. All right, guys. This is the end of this part. And so this is called Covering Your Spine, attaching it to your book. So creating your spine, which is what we did. And I also kind of do it like this and look, because if you have big loose areas where the valleys are, you want to make sure you work on that and make sure it's sticking. Same on the inside. Just want to make sure everything is like it needs to be. This one little part just wants to ooze out glue. It's what it was doing when we were on the other side. So I'm going to get it out of there. And you could see how much it is just from that little bit of work in it on the other side, because that wasn't there when I flipped it over. Okay. All right, guys. So this is the end of this part of this, and I'm just going to try, we're going to try to do this together. And the next thing, I went ahead and put the pages together because everybody knows how to put pages together. And then I thought we would go back and we'll do the spine next. We'll stitch it in, okay? Not next, after the second, okay? The next video, we're going to be cutting out ephemera and stuff like that. And I'm going to show you what I do, how I do it. I make my templates, and then I just go from there. And I might make more than I need, and that's okay too. I'm going to do some collaging. I'm going to do all kinds of fun stuff. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video. If you haven't subscribed, please do. This is going to be a very fun book. And I don't know if I showed you the journaling pages. Let me get one sheet of that. This is one journaling page. You can see all the different windows. Windows or winders. As my husband's little cousin used to say, I want you to close that winder. He's from Alabama. Okay, so here is the second page. I know it looks real similar, but it's not. And this right here is going to be on the cover. And I haven't decided how yet, but it will. Because I just feel like with the peach and orange flowers, that will work the best. And then we do have a couple, I believe it's envelopes that go with this kit. And there they are. One has a window on it, and the other one just has one of the pages on it. So yeah, that's going to be fun. All right, guys, see you in the next video. I hope you had fun today. Bye-bye.